So we're going to look at some circuits that are in parallel, and in particular we're going to look at their resistance. So we're working with this formula that says the inverse of the total resistance, so notice this first fraction here, the inverse of the total resistance is equal to the sum, so notice that we're adding, of the inverse of each individual resistance. So for instance, if we have 1 here, this is R1, so the resistance here shows up here in the formula. Here's R2, this resistance shows up here, and so on to N, where N is the number of parallel circuits that we've set up. So we're asked then to consider this scenario. So we have two circuits that are placed in parallel. So in our formula here, we'll just have R1 and R2. The first circuit has a resistance of 40 ohms, so we'll assume that this is R1, so this has a resistance of 40 ohms. And R2 then, the resistance of the second is 60 ohms. And so they want us to decide then what the total resistance would be. So this total resistance would be in our formula. So let's see if we can set up an equation to represent that. So you can see that we're going to try to determine this total resistance when we know that the two circuits that we've wired in parallel here have resistances of 40 and 60 respectively. So we want to try to solve this equation. I can think of a couple of ways to do it. So the first thing that I think of when I look at this is that I'm adding two fractions together. So if I go back to what I've learned about adding fractions, I know that I would need a common denominator. So if I were choosing to solve this, I think the first method I would probably try is to go ahead and add these two fractions on the right side of my equation by finding a common denominator. So remember that I have to think of the multiples of this denominator. So 40, 80, 120, 160, and so on. And then the multiples of this denominator, so 60 times 1 is 60, 60 times 2 is 120. And I'm going to stop there because I found that 120 is the least common multiple of these two denominators. So what I want to do then is rewrite both of these fractions with denominators of 120. So to get from 40 to 120, we'd have to multiply by 3, and we'd have to do that on the top and the bottom so that our fraction stays equivalent. And then here, to go from a denominator of 60 to a denominator of 120, we need to multiply by 2. So we'll also multiply our numerator by 2. So if I find a common denominator, then I can rewrite this equation with the right side as a single value. So 3 1/20ths plus 2 1/20ths gives me 5 1/20ths. And then I recognize that 5 over 120 could then be reduced, since 5 and 120 are both divisible by 5. So if I divide both my numerator and denominator by 5, 5 divided by 5 gives me 1. 120 divided by 5 gives me 24. And now if I know that 1 over the total resistance is equal to 1 over 24, since the numerators are the same and these are equivalent, then the denominators must also be the same. So I can say then that I believe the total resistance is 24. But I told you I could think of other ways to solve it. So let's see if we could solve this using another method. Another method that we might use, because we see multiple fractions in our equation, is we could choose to multiply by every one of the denominators. This would be a way of clearing out the fractions, and I would guess that at some point some of you have learned to use a method similar to this. So what we would be doing then is taking every piece of our equation and multiplying by everything by all three of these denominators. So for instance, on this left side, 1 over RT, we'd be multiplying that times RT and 40 and 60. So we multiply all of those there. We'd also do the same thing on the other side of our equal sign. So we'd have to take both the 1 over 40 and the 1 over 60 and multiply by RT and 40 and 60. So why would we do that? Because our goal would be to clear out the fractions and work with a simpler equation to solve. So remember that here, if I'm multiplying by RT, but then I'm dividing by RT, those two are inverses of each other. Sometimes you may hear people say they cancel out. But essentially what we're saying is RT divided by RT is just 1. And if we're multiplying by 1, we're really not changing the value. So then that would just leave 40 times 60 times 1, and 40 times 60 would give me 240. Sorry, 2,400. I'm missing a 0 there. Because again, multiplying by RT and dividing by RT would cancel each other. RT divided by RT is just 1. On this side then, we need to make sure that this gets distributed. So we'd have to be multiplying both the 1 over 40 times RT and 40 and 60. And also the 1 over 60 would need to be multiplied by RT and 40 and 60. It's a little crowded there. Again, why are we doing that? Because dividing by 40 and multiplying by 40 again would cancel. In other words, 40 divided by 40 is just 1, or multiplying by 40 and dividing by 40 are inverses. So if these two would essentially eliminate each other, that would leave you with 1 times RT times 60. So 60 times RT is how we'd probably prefer to write that. And again, here we're dividing by 60, but we're multiplying by 60. So those are inverses of each other. So that leaves us RT times 40, or 1 times RT times 40. So we can write this as 40 RT. And then if I go ahead and combine my like terms here, I have 100 times RT. If I want to write it that way, I could show it that way also. And so then the inverse operation here would be to divide by 100. 2,400 divided by 100 gives us a total resistance of 24, which matches what we found using the other method that I showed you. So a couple of different ways that we could solve this rational equation. Call it a rational equation because our equation involves ratios or fractions where we've got variables in the denominator.